probes the middle, pushing, touchdown Raiders! He would not be denied at a 1-yard Jacobs touchdown run. Gives the Raiders a 13-0 lead 1 minute into the second quarter.
Kelce, the walking bus, goes in motion left. They flood the left side. Caught by Kelce and into the end zone. Touchdown! Kansas City. And the Chiefs start the third quarter with a touchdown drive. Mahomes takes the snap at the 1 and the 5. In trouble, moves out past Crosby. Fires it late. Kelce at the catch inside the 10. Step arms 1, now 2, now 3. Stumbles into the end zone. Touchdown! Kansas City. First down and goal to go at the 1. They're going to throw it. Near side it is. Caught. Touchdown! Kansas City. Travis Kelce. 1, 2, 3, 4 touchdown receptions.
Snap to Derek. Back to pass. Pressure off the edge. Into the pocket. Lobs one downfield for Adams. At the goal line. Over his shoulder. Touchdown! They don't need to, but they're going for it. End zone to our right. Trying to take the lead. Snap to Carr. Handoff Jacobs. Pressing the middle. Leaning forward. It's going to be close. He's not in.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis. Presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
The Playbook is live here on Bettor Sports Network with Fensty and Ronis, powered by FantasyAlarm.com, sponsored by Jock Market. My name is Justin Fensterman. His name is Adam Ronis, and it's multi-sport madness here on Bettor Sports Network. Going to keep you up to date with what's going on in the MLB, and we have to talk a lot of NFL and fantasy football. Ronis, what's up, man?
Just watching some afternoon baseball. I love it, man. I wish my Mets were playing, but I still love the sport, and definitely look like it's going to be an interesting playoffs here with these 5-game series in the divisional round.
Yeah, upset city thus far today in the divisional series. You've got the Mariners right now up 6-2.
No, make that out at the plate. It was almost 7-2.
I looked over, I'm like, rundown very quickly. I saw.
That wasn't a rundown. France just was thrown out by a mile.
Oh,
but,
okay.
man,
I saw him start running back there when I quickly looked over. I was wondering if he got caught in a rundown.
Justin Verlander is getting tattooed. 6 runs and 10 hits against Verlander through 4 innings. So, older pitchers, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander in the postseason. Not good.
No, they want out, man. They want to go and put their feet up. They want to start the offseason early.
Oh, stop. That's not it. Come on.
No, it's not.
Look, I like this Mariners team. I thought they would be a team that could make some noise. I love them in the first round. I don't even know if we spoke about it, but I thought they were going to beat the Blue Jays. I didn't think they would beat Houston. I thought if they matched up with the Yankees, they would have beat the Yankees, but they're a dangerous team. I still think Houston's the best team in the AL, but these 5-game series, man, that's it. Look at the Braves right now. They're down 1-0. Phillies won today 7-6. They had a 7-1 lead. Matt Olson hit a 3-run homer in the ninth to make it interesting. Castellanos made a great sliding catch, but now the Phillies are in good shape, man. Rangers Suarez against Max Fried, they win. And now the next 2, Wheeler and Nola. So this could be interesting here. And the Phillies limped into the postseason. Milwaukee did not play good down the stretch because Phillies did not. Go look at Philadelphia. They did not play well. They only won 87 games. And we saw last year with the Braves. You get in, you get hot, and you can make a run. So, it's not over. I would never count this Braves team out. But, Phillies are pretty good shape right now. Even if they lose game 2, they go back home for 3 and 4, and they'd have Nola on the mound in game 3.
Do you think that in a good amount of instances, teams that are on rest for a little bit, now out of the motions while the round before wild card round is going on, do you think that almost puts them mentally with that mental competitive edge? Do you think that puts them at a bit of a disadvantage when they're not competing for a week or so?
I don't know. People are going to say that today, especially if these visiting teams keep winning. But, I think most teams would take the rest. But these teams are not accustomed to being off a week. No one has been off a week. Even the All-Star break's not a week off. It's 3-4 days at the most. So it is a little bit of a different structure than what you're used to. But I'm sure all these teams would rather have the rest because, remember, these teams are not able to set up their rotation. Seattle's going with their 3rd starter today in Logan Gilbert. Philadelphia went with their 3rd starter in Ranger Suarez, while the other teams went with their ace. It's just the aces came out today for those 2 teams, Verlander and Max Fried, didn't pitch well. And look, we saw with our Mets, right? Max Scherzer didn't pitch well. So That's what's baseball is just a different beast, man. When you get into these short series, and Braves have had a great year, and now they need to win 3 of the next 4 to keep their season alive.
We're going to talk about some of the later starting games. Yankees, Guardians. Also, we have Dodgers and Padres still to go. 6-2. We're heading to the bottom of the 4th inning now on fantasyalarm.com, Roan. One of the props that you put up in your Prize Picks video, Logan Gilbert, over 3.5 strikeouts. He's sitting there with 3 right now after 3 innings of work.
Yeah, so just need one more. Hopefully he can get it. He faced the Astros 4 times this year. 3 of them, he went over the number. 1 of them, he had 3. He had a 2.52 ERA against the Astros coming in. So is familiar with this team, not intimidated, and, needs to try and get through 5-6 innings here, holding the 6-2 lead. They give up a couple of runs as Yordan Alvarez with a 2-run double. Thought about putting him in the video. I probably should have. I mean, that guy's just a stud. But, Gilbert now needs to try and get through 5-6 innings holding this lead, because we know the Astros offense is dangerous and can break out at any time.
Yeah, Rodriguez, Ty France, both with 2 RBIs apiece. France with 3 hits, and Rodriguez with 2. That top of the lineup getting it done. But then even the bottom of the lineup getting some hits as well. Kelnick, Frazier, Crawford with that home run. So
the Astros just get a run. Yuli Gurriel solo home run. It is 6-3.
There you go. See, not over yet. Hey, man, we saw it with the Phillies and the Braves. All of a sudden, Matt Olson, what would Matt Olson just wait until the final 2-3 weeks of the regular season, plus what he did just now to start hitting? This guy was a ghost when it came to our fantasy teams for the final, almost 2 months of the year?
Well, blame me, because one of my Prize Picks videos, I could probably even find the date. I broke him out of his slump. I think it was against the Nationals. I think it was Monday, September 26th. He hadn't homered. He had 1 homer in September at that point. He was ice cold. And I said under his fantasy score. He homered that day, and then he homered 4 of the next 5 games. So I think I broke Matt Olson out of his slump. I think he saw my Prize Picks video, said, "Oh, yeah? You're going betting against me now? Watch what I do to your team." So, yeah, he was ice cold. He did nothing in September. It was so bad. Even going back to late August, the last 3 games of August, he was 0 for 10, 0 for 11. And then he hit a homer on September 6th, and then he didn't homer until September 26th. And then they had another homer against the Nationals in that series, and, of course, 3 straight against the Mets. So I guess Matt Olson saw my video, and I motivated him.
All you, man. All you. So
what a mistake I made. I should have just let him be sleeping.
Yes, exactly. And if the Braves end up winning another World Series, well, we all know that you're going to be the most hated New York sports fan since probably Spike Lee in the mid-90s when he started talking trash to Reggie Miller and then fired him up. You remember that? You were a little older than me then. How crazy was that? We didn't have the media circuits that we have right now, but everyone was blaming Spike Lee for that Game 5 performance that Reggie Miller put on, where he started in the 4th quarter, hitting every single shot he was taking, off balance or not. And the Knicks went down in that series going back to Indiana. Dude, you remember this. He was on the cover of the Post and stuff, Spike Lee. Everyone was blaming him.
Yeah, I mean, the Pacers had some good teams, man. Did you ever watch that? What was it called? It was the Artest stuff when they were talking. Did you ever watch that Artest on Netflix? That was good, man. And Jermaine O'Neal's still bitter about it.
Yeah, you know what sold me on it, though? When you said to me, dude, you got to watch this because Steven Jackson said, you had said this to me. Steven Jackson said in that documentary, which I believe is on Netflix, if I remember.
Yes, Netflix. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He said, pretty sure.
You remember what he said to me? You're like, Steven Jackson comes on, and he goes, "I'm never talking about this ever again." And well, I wanted to hear the entire story about the Malice in the Palace. Maybe the most of fights in sports. Is that the most infamous fight in sports?
Probably. It's definitely one of the most memorable. And the Pacers had a really good team that really ruined them. And you could see Artest had regret about it. And it was unfortunate what happened there. And Jermaine O'Neal was still bitter about it. You could see when he was talking about it.
That sliding punch, which wasn't even a sliding punch. He slipped on the alcohol or whatever was on the floor, and it became a driving punch after that. And biggest fights in sports history? Let's hear from you in the comments section. Some of it, because that one is very hard to top. It's funny, coming off of the punch that we just saw from Draymond Green in practice. Then we're going to talk a little bit basketball later on. We're actually going to bring on James Grande from fantasyalarm.com in just a little bit. James Grande covers multiple sports for fantasyalarm.com. And he also is going to cover not only the injuries, he writes the injury report for NFL. He's done a lot when it comes to MLB DFS. Also going to be part of the NBA DFS team as well, like yours truly. And we'll talk a little bit about some other sports that are going on, how you could get ready, get involved. Here's a few from our producers here. The Rugnet Odor, Jose Bautista fight. But is that really the problem with that? That punch might have been the most infamous punch, but what happened with the Malice in the Palace and how it just grew and fans getting involved, throwing chairs? I don't know if the Odor Bautista one stands up to the Malice in the Palace.
Yeah, Malice in the Palace was just nuts, man. I mean, going into the crowd. I mean, that's why. That's what's crazy.
Strike number 2, Jared Moore, the People's Board Op. Nolan Ryan putting Robin Ventura in the headlock when he was like 40 or whatever, almost double his age. Again, yes, that was very good and good punches and great punch action from Nolan Ryan. But at the same time, that was the main thing. With the Malice in the Palace, you had about 8 different angles go on. AB, the resource, coming through once again saying the Bruins fighting the Rangers in the stands. I don't know if you've seen highlights from that, Roan. That one was scary. That one compares because you actually had fighting go on in the stands, kind of like you did with Malice in the Palace.
Cash Logan Gilbert, his 4th K.
There we go. Winning bets, snapping necks, and cashing checks. That's what we're doing.
Oh, so Red Wings Avs team fight 97. Didn't they do something on ESPN recently about the Red Wings Avs? I didn't watch it, but it looked like it was pretty good. They did something on that rivalry, I believe.
Yeah, I remember
seeing it over the last few months.
I did not see that. By the way, Roan, hockey. We've been talking a lot of hockey here. It's back. You ready to go? Yeah. You're rolling your eyes here, man.
I'm a Rangers fan, but because I do so much basketball, football, and baseball, it's hard for me to follow as closely as I used to. But yeah, I'm a big Rangers fan. So yes, I know they do start tonight. So hopefully they can have a successful season and make a little bit of a deeper run than last year.
You're rooting for them over Tampa, right?
Stop, man.
Okay, I just got to ask. Last year when you and I were on show, man, you were attached. You were the Lightning, man. You were getting on the Lightning from the betting towards the end of the playoffs. You were
that's different. Betting doesn't mean I have a rooting interest.
This is a big conflict of interest to start the NHL
No, it's not.
season.
I'm a Rangers fan. That's my hockey team. So let's not get people confused.
Yeah. By the way, I'm an Islanders fan. So get ready with all the jokes because it's not going to be fun to be an Islanders fan. We'll see about the Rangers, though. The Rangers taking on Tampa. That's going to be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Vegas taking on L.A. in the other game. Those are their first 2 games of the hockey season. We'll talk some NHL betting as we continue on the playbook. You heard now we circle all the way back to our show open. And no, you were not hearing the same highlight multiple times. Travis Kelce had 4 touchdowns. I almost said home runs. This is what happens when baseball's on my screen. He had 4 touchdowns last night. And it's funny, Ron, we keep talking about the tight end position and Travis Kelce just getting it done there outside of him and Andrews. It's just a bunch of everyone else. I'm still having nightmares from when you asked me the question on yesterday's show, Taysom Hill over this tight end, Taysom Hill over that tight end. Get ready, man. That's going to be a tidal wave of Taysom Hill questions coming at us this week.
And you have 4 teams on bye too. So I already did my tight end rankings. After the show, I will finish running back and receiver. But yeah, you might be surprised where he is this week. But I will say this: we went over the FanDuel Super Boost yesterday. Devontae Adams 50+ yards, that hits. Travis Kelce 50+ yards, did not hit despite 4 touchdowns, 25 yards. These Super Boosts are absolute garbage.
They are. That's why they want you to take it. That's why they want you to take them, Ron. They're not going to make it that easy. They make you think like you're stealing from them, and they steal from you.
Yeah, man. So just beware, man. Most of the time, they do not hit. But, some of the props we talked about yesterday hit. I was on Josh Jacobs over 18.5 receiving yards. He had 39. Was on CEH over 17.5 receiving yards. He had 20. mentioned Adams prop. I liked it, although I got scared. So after our show, so we talked about it. It was 78.5 yards on most books. When we ended the show, I went to DraftKings Sportsbook. It was 75.5. It went down, and that scared me. And then I saw his 58 yards reception early. I was like, damn it, I should have played it.
And Carr still didn't hit the passing yard prop, by the way.
Yeah, I told you I was worried about that. And what else did we talk about? Valdez-Scantling. I said if I was going to play one of the receivers over 42.5, he had 90. So we were pretty good on the props we discussed.
I nearly called Juju's stat line. I said he's Mr. 3 for 39. He got 3 for 33, bro.
He's not good, man. I'm glad I stayed away. Again, there's always a handful of players in every fantasy sport where, usually I'm pretty definitive. I have a strong stance. Juju, I didn't know. Like, part of me was like, all right, he's going to have a good year. And the other part's like, he has not been good. Like, if you look at his underlying metrics, and why did no other team want him? I know he got hardly any money, but there's a lot of incentives in there. But I was like, a 25-year-old receiver and no one in the NFL really wanted him? Like, I know teams can be wrong, but something doesn't seem right here. So, but I saw a lot of people I respect, sharp players, taking him in the 5th round, and I couldn't do it. So I only wound up getting him in one best ball just in case I was wrong, but it looks bad because there's plenty of opportunities here. He's just not producing, man. It's just not happening. I mean, he's a disappointment so far. I mean, he's got no touchdowns through 5 games. He's basically had 2 good games. He's had 13 PPR points twice, 6 yesterday, not good. He had 9 the week before. He has not been, and he's got at least 8 targets in 4 of the 5 games. So he's not doing anything with them.
No. And now, meanwhile, you're looking at some of the other guys. MVS 6 for 90, like you mentioned. Hardman,
he had a bad drop.
Hardman 4 for 73. Yes, last night as well. So, yeah, that's really what we're looking at. And you mentioned CEH catching some passes, but really not doing much on the ground there.
Darren Waller with a 0. You freaking, man, unbelievable. Now
another tight end goes down, man. And now it further lightens the market. There's no market for tight ends, bro. There's none, because think about it. Now you've got him, who's, I know that bye's coming up and stuff, but now he's got the hamstring injury. Then you've got Pat Freiermuth, who, under these new rules, who knows when these guys, the concussed guys.
Well, and remember, he had 2 concussions last year.
Right. And that's going to play. We might not be seeing him for a while.
And Dalton Schultz is banged up too. He aggravated his PCL. Now, he might play, but you see, he hasn't been effective since he's hurt it. So, but man, I had a lineup with Waller and Bridgewater, a super flexi. I got 2 zeros.
Jeez.
I mean, it's just so obviously I lost. But man, Waller, again, I did not love Waller going into the year. I only drafted him because it was a super flex league and it was end of round 7. I was like, all right, I'll take him. Oh man, and he's crushed me. And now I got to replace him this week. And when is he going to come back? I mean, I don't know, man. That's just brutal, man. Those several zeros this week. T. Higgins with a 0.
Yeah.
Only played 10 snaps, aggravated his ankle. I had him in a couple lineups. The zeros are the absolute worst because we're already dealing with players underperforming. And then you get a 0. It's tough to overcome that.
Yeah, another tight end, by the way, that could once again be out of the mix, Logan Thomas. And I know he's coming up in the
short
play.
Week.
Yeah, coming up in the next few days. I saw a practice report that he was not out there. So, again,
well, they don't practice; they estimate it.
Right.
They're saying if they were to practice today, he would not have practiced.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that, and it's just X another one off, and that's really what it is. And this is what we're looking at: really low end tight ends. It's really difficult to deal with, and we're all going through it right now. By the way, spend a few minutes talking about this. Davante Adams, the cameraman, and it was weird because it's almost, I've watched that video 1,000 times, and I couldn't tell if it was inadvertent that the cameraman just was standing up and happened to get in his way. I couldn't tell whether the cameraman was trying to kind of pan back as he was trying, Adams was walking away. It just seemed, the shove was unnecessary, but it seemed like the cameraman, it could have been a little bit of coincidence that the cameraman was getting up and he just happened to be walking in the path where Adams was. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think he was upset at the way the game ended. We've all been there, right? So, I mean, I don't think there was any malicious intent. The NFL is reviewing it. I don't think there's going to be – they don't have to rush this decision because the Raiders have a bye. So I'm guessing he doesn't get suspended, but he gets fined. he did apologize for it. Obviously, he was wrong for doing it, but I mean, you just lost a football game and you collided with a teammate on the potential last play of the game. You know, I tweeted out, I think Hunter Renfrow was going up against Davante Adams, was up 1, and said, let me knock him out so I could win my matchup. So,
Wow. You're crazy.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, I am. We already know that. I just think, you know, you just lost a tough game and, you know, he kind of lost his temper. He's definitely wrong for it. He apologized. So it sounds like the guy's okay. I think he is going to.
He went to the hospital and then filed a police report.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, really? That push didn't look that bad. Like, he didn't pull up.
Yeah, but, you know,
he break his fibula.
He could be soft like you. You know what I'm saying?
What? I'm soft. You think that if Davante Adams pushed me down, then I go to the hospital like that? I go to the hospital and then file a police report? No.
I do.
No.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
To get money and attention.
No, it's get money and attention. No, come on. That's why we're doing this show, man, right? Exactly. James Grande from FantasyAlarm.com is stopping by. We're going to talk to him, a big Giants fan as well. So I want to hear if he thinks that the Giants are going to go to the Super Bowl. So we'll talk to him about that and also some of the other injuries around the NFL, sneaking some NBA. Let us know what players you're looking to pick up off the waiver wire. And Ronas came up with a very good idea yesterday that we're going to execute today and possibly tomorrow on the show. We're going to go through all the NFL teams and talk about which players we can start with confidence and how many teams have fewer than what, Ronas? 3 players that we can start with confidence, because there's going to be a handful of them.
It's a lot with only 2.
Yes. I mean, it's going to be a lot. We're going to talk about them. We'll start with the NFC. We'll go to the AFC then after that. Let's get with James Grande. Give him a follow on Twitter at the real Grande, also known as the king of the underscores. It is the playbook with Fensty and Ronas, powered by FantasyAlarm.com here on Bettor Sports Network.
This is the playbook with Fensty and Ronas, presented by FantasyAlarm.com and sponsored by Jock Market. Make real money every second of the game. Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Right now, Ray, it is Cooper Kupp and nothing with this offense.
There goes Kupp. Needs a block, gets it. 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Cooper Kupp.
And Kupp, to his credit, still gets his. But, Ray, it's almost like this offense is so fixated on Cooper Kupp that nothing else. We can all complain about Stafford and the numbers, Ray, but the dude is getting murdered. Like, there's no way he's making it to week 10 at this pace right now.
Am I a Stafford backer? Yes. Did I think his arm was going to be fine? Yes. Has his arm been fine? Absolutely. His arm's totally fine. The elbow issue that we were all concerned about is not a thing. However, everything else is a massive concern. As much as I have to support Stafford, I have him in a couple leagues. I've supported him when people have asked questions. I'm no longer supporting Stafford. I can't. It has nothing to do with Matt Stafford. He's totally fine. The offense is broken, straight broken. And this offensive line somehow was only 31 out of 32 in pass blocking over at Pro Football Focus. I have no idea how the Titans are worse. They can't even set a pocket. And he's getting hit on every play. There were about 4 times yesterday where it looked like he got knocked out of the game, but he soldiered through it. This offensive line is horrible. The coaching staff and Sean McVay, you guys, you suck. Straight. I mean, you're the Super Bowl champion. This is what you're putting out there. Like, when you're going well, everyone loves you. And we've joked around, if you used a urinal next to Sean McVay once, you have a coaching job in the NFL. Where's Boy Wonder? There's nothing. This offense is horrible.
The playbook with Fensty and Ronas. Weekdays at 5 Eastern.
Geno Smith is like a savior right now, which
it's a joke.
We would have been laughed at if we said, even in week 2, if we said it. And right now, he's playing great football. And
Ronas, how much of an idiot am I? I mean, all the shows we were on together, I would repeatedly say, I'm not touching Metcalf, I'm not touching Lockett.
Everyone said that. I mean,
Metcalf especially, because for a while he was going in that like mid-4th round. Lockett, at least, you could get him at a decent value, the 7th, 8th round towards the end of draft season. But I was still like, I don't trust Geno. I'm not going Metcalf. I'm not going Lockett. I said it 1,000 times, and Geno Smith's been turning heads.
I did draft Geno in a super flex best ball league. I think as my third quarterback, but I didn't expect this. I just said, well, he's starting. I thought maybe he might lose the job at some point to Lock, but I'm like, he's starting, so I took him. But this is in for leagues with 6 points for a passing touchdown. Josh Allen is averaging 36.1 points per game. Lamar's at 31.8, Mahomes 28.8, Hurts 27. And then there's a drop off to Goff at 23.8, and that includes his crappy game this week. So Geno's at 8th, 23.5. I mean, it's been pretty bad.
Bettor Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
Wildcat formation with Barkley and Brightwell this time. Jones lined up left. Saquon takes the snap. Saquon bounces outside. Barkley's in for the touchdown, and the Giants have the lead with 6:08 to go.
We've always had confidence in our group. I think we believe in ourselves, but how the outside or how other people view us, I don't think we're concerned with that. But yeah, we played a good game today, and we'll continue to build confidence, continue to study what we got to do to get better, and continue to improve as a team.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com, sponsored by Jock Market. Stay in the game.
Maybe Daniel Jones doesn't care about too many people with how they feel about the Giants and what they've done, 4-1 record, but somebody that I know cares very much, and I'm sure Daniel Jones would care about what this guy has to say. You can find all his work at FantasyAlarm.com. Not only covers football, he does a lot of the NFL injury reports on the site, covers baseball, covers basketball as well. And you can give him a follow on Twitter at @the_real_Grande. It's James Grande from FantasyAlarm.com stopping by. What's going on, Grande?
What's going on, guys? Man, that Saquon, that just reliving just great memories. I can listen to that call all day. Good to be in the win column again, and happy to be here with you guys.
By the way, I know the Giants are doing very well. They do have one loss. Who was that loss to again? I forgot.
I blacked out.
You did? Okay.
I was
Cowboys.
I was blacked out that. I was actually blacked out that night. Yeah.
I don't blame you.
What were you drinking?
Oh, it was actually like 2 nights after my wedding, so it was a great wedding. It was a great wedding gift to have received.
Congratulations on that.
Yes,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Congratulations. Ronis, you're next, man. You're next.
Not happening.
If you would have been there, you would have caught the bouquet.
I told you, I'm getting married when I'm like 60 years old.
James, this guy's got 2 years. I predicted a 4-year window that Ronis would get married. What do you think? Do you think Ronis will be married in 2 years?
Absolutely not.
Wow. Just like that.
Absolutely.
James doesn't even know me as well as you, and he's smarter than you.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me change the question, James. What's more likely to happen? The Giants win the Super Bowl this year, or Ronis gets married within the next 2 years?
The Giants winning the Super Bowl.
I'm going to have to agree with that. And I think the Giants are a very flawed team, but I would have to agree if those are the two we're comparing.
Yeah,
NFL's got a lot of parity. You never know. Giants get back Robinson, and Tony finds a way to get hamstrings, and the coaches like him. And hey, the NFC's wide open. They make a run.
Ronis, you're at the Angel. You're in a relationship. Things are moving quickly. Dink and dunk down the field, and boom, touchdown. You're married just like that.
Yeah, I doubt it. I don't see it.
In all seriousness, James, the Giants, very impressive. 4-1. I mean, what has contributed, besides Saquon Barkley, of course, but what's contributed to their early season success, my man?
Saquon Barkley. I mean, it's obviously a different culture from everything you hear about the coaching staff that was there to the coaching staff that is there now. From the day Dable stepped in, it seemed positive. From the day they just magically ended up with Wink Martindale out of the clouds, everything has gone well in the defensive end, even, without 2 of their best players in for 3 rather, on the offensive line or defensive line rather, since the start of the year. In and out, Thibodeau, Ojulari, and Leonard Williams all have missed time. And we haven't skipped a beat when any of them have been off the field. I mean, they're putting Jones out where he's best with his legs, not keeping him in the pocket where he clearly sometimes struggles. And they're really maximizing just what they have, because let's face it, they don't have a lot. I mean, everything that they have is injured currently. So, I mean, it's been impressive that we're 4-1. And if you look at the schedule, I know it's a very tough division and whatnot, but, going into that Thanksgiving rematch against Dallas, the record could be looking pretty similar to what it is now, just based on what's coming up for the Giants. So I like where we're at, and I like where we could be before we start meeting our division foes later in the year.
So you really think this is a really good team that has a shot to make some noise in the postseason and get to the postseason?
I didn't say that. But
okay.
But I didn't say that.
You're talking a little tough right now. Already looking ahead to Thanksgiving. Come on.
Well, I mean, when you look at the schedule, right? Next week it's Baltimore. Obviously, they're going to be favored. Let's see what Wink Martindale has in his bag of tricks, right? Old Ravens coordinator for a very long time. Obviously, planning against Lamar Jackson and playing against Lamar Jackson is two different things. But after that, Jacksonville, I think we could say that's a winnable game for the Giants. Seattle is a winnable game because they can't stop anybody. Houston, winnable game for the Giants. Detroit, winnable game for the Giants. I mean, outside of Baltimore, do you favor the Giants in every one of those games?
No. Where's the Jacksonville game?
In Jacksonville.
Jacksonville will be favored.
But other than Baltimore, Jacksonville, the Giants are favored in all those other games, right?
So potentially, yeah.
So
where's the Detroit game?
At home.
Okay, they probably will be slight favorites there.
So they could be going into that Dallas game because there's a bye week, 7-3 going into week 12 against Dallas. So I'm not saying they're going to go on a run, but we don't know what the health status of Wan'Dale Robinson's going to be at that point. We don't know what the health is of Kadarius Toney and where his standing is within the team. Obviously, the defensive line can only get healthier from here, at least you would think, with Leonard Williams missing the last two, Ojulari missing this past week. So I don't know. I'm not saying that we're going to go on a run, but if you're in week 12 and you're 7-3, pretty good chance of going over 500, pretty good chance to get to 10 wins and maybe even sneak into the playoffs. So we'll see how the rest of the season shakes out, but a favorable schedule, I'd say, moving forward.
James, I know that you wrote about Russell Wilson in your latest injury report on fantasyalarm.com. So talk about teams that could go on a run or players that could go on a run. You think now that maybe he had a little procedure in the shoulder that Russell Wilson can go on a run? Or do you think that all of us, including me, who has a share of him, we're doomed with this guy?
I mean, I guess it depends, right? Like, let's see how the procedure, how he comes out of it, because we don't know. Sometimes, things shake out the way that they intended after procedure. Sometimes they don't. Like, if I'm a Russell Wilson owner and I'm looking at the waiver wire, unless Geno Smith or possibly Carson Wentz is available, like, I would say those are probably the two most likely replacements. Like, you don't really have a replacement that's better than Russell Wilson. Despite his struggles, he's still the QB 17 this year, which I know we didn't draft him to the QB 17, but like, he's been that bad, and he's still, one good week away from being in the QB1 discussion. The only problem is, like, the next three matchups for him aren't the best for quarterbacks. The Chargers, 13th most fantasy points per game. The Jets are 21st. So, and obviously that has to do with, who they've brought in. I think they've hit on their defensive picks over the last couple of years. And then Jacksonville, 24th for quarterbacks. So it's not like things are exactly looking up for Russell Wilson from a fantasy perspective. I think you are kind of trapped with him. I don't think there's really places you're going to like acquire a quarterback. Like, hey, I have Russell Wilson. Who do you have in return? Like, there's not someone you're going to get better unless Geno Smith and Carson Wentz are available. You're kind of just stuck with Russ. But I don't think it could get worse than it already is. And he's QB 17. So we'll see how it plays out, but I think you'll be okay with Russell Wilson moving forward.
Your second favorite team, the Cowboys, how are they going to handle Dak Prescott when he returns with Cooper Rush being unbeatable right now?
Oh, I mean, it's you hand the keys right back to Dak. There's no question. There's No question about it. I mean, Cooper Rush may be unbeatable for my 32nd favorite team in the league, but has he won the last 2 weeks, or is that a product of very good defense? Obviously, you had a very big week on the ground this past week, and your kicker has 13 made field goals through 5 games. I mean, a lot of different aspects playing in Cooper Rush's favor right here. You go right back to Dak Prescott. He has the $160 million contract. He's going to score points where Dallas seemingly doesn't do right now. Like, at least, they get you in position to kick a field goal. Great. That's what Cooper Rush is good at doing. And you know what? Kudos to him. But you're going back to Dak Prescott immediately, and that's your best chance at making a run the playoffs and into the Super Bowl.
Hanging out with our buddy James Grande from fantasyalarm.com. Give him a follow on Twitter at @the_real_Grande. Covers multiple sports, football, baseball, basketball, all for the site. And Grande, one of the players that you actually wrote about is the potential return of Damien Williams to the Atlanta backfield with Cordarrelle Patterson hurt. How do you feel that this can impact the run game as a whole? Do you expect Williams to have a role here? I mean, looks like, if everything goes all right in the next couple of matchups, should have himself a decent role.
Yeah, I mean, before the week 1 injury, Nathan Jenke of PFF had the snap shares down for the Atlanta backfield, and Williams doubled everyone else. And then the ribs injury happens. He goes on IR. And, that's a bad break, but we know Damien Williams is a quality player. Now, I think it helps Atlanta is winning-ish 2-3, and they're being competitive to where they're not just going to, hand the reins over to their young guys right away. I mean, we've seen that in every facet of the game. Arthur Smith apparently just wants to win, right? But Atlanta's rushing game has the 5th most attempts in the year. We know they're not trusting Marcus Mariota to throw the ball at all. Cordarrelle Patterson's out another 3 weeks, including this one, 3 weeks. We know Damien Williams can catch passes out of the backfield. I mean, I like the addition. I don't like it in 10-team leagues. I don't think you really need it in 12-team formats, but in PPR formats, 14-team leagues where you're losing running backs and guys are entering timeshares. I mean, we all loved James Robinson last week, and then we didn't. And then Travis Etienne played more snaps. So guys that we were trusting early in the year are falling down our rankings. I don't hate Damien Williams. I don't think he'll be the starter, long term. But right now, where we are losing guys left and right, I think he could be a nice bridge for the next 3 weeks. And even if Cordarrelle Patterson doesn't return to full strength after his procedure, I mean, maybe 4 or 5 weeks before we see, a full capacity Cordarrelle Patterson, you could be maximizing Damien Williams' value.
We've seen numerous concussions over the last couple of weeks, and these players being ruled out immediately. You got a guy like Pat Freiermuth, and he had 2 concussions last year. When you have players like that, are you immediately looking for replacements, assuming that they're going to be out for the week when you're doing your waivers tonight or tomorrow?
Immediately, right? I mean, I think, it's hard to, judge concussion injuries because we just saw Teddy Bridgewater cleared the protocol. But now with this new implementation where the spotter sees him stumble, well, he's now ruled out for the game, even though he cleared protocol and he was, without that rule being in place, Teddy Bridgewater's back in that game and maybe the outcome's different. So, I think, it is something that you just have to immediately go to the waiver wire of, not the best that you're going to the waiver wire to find a tight end because those don't exist. But I think you have to replace him immediately, and there has to be contingency plans in place because of it.
Let's flip it over to basketball, Grande, because you are famous in our Fantasy Alarm family for being able to dig up some rookies that we should be on the lookout for when it comes to fantasy basketball, maybe even one that's a little bit later on in the season. Some of the rookies in the past that you've dug up, Alperin Sengun, who is actually going to be walking in this year with no Christian Wood to an incredible role. Him and Smith, in my opinion, they're going to be a lethal combo because they they don't interfere with each other. Sengun will be right there in the low block. Smith will do all the pretty work at the elbow, and he can hit long-range shots, stretch the floor. You also had the year before Chuma Okeke as well. That was a name that didn't even cross my wire before, crossed yours, though. So this year, who is that rookie that you're digging up for us that you think could become an asset in fantasy basketball a little bit later on?
I was between two, and ultimately I chose against Walker Kessler to Utah. I think he's a little raw. I think there's a lot of shot blocking upside there. So, in leagues that prioritize block shots, I think he could be a guy. But Benedict Maturin, I actually listened to the pronunciation. I listened to him pronunciate it, and I still got it wrong. Anyways, I think that there's going to be an opportunity for him right away as maybe not the sixth man, but he can play both wing spots. I think he's going to be able to play shooting guard behind Chris Duarte, and I think he's going to be able to play small forward behind Buddy Hield. He can shoot lights out. I mean, he shot 38% from three. He was good defensively, average a steal per game last year for Arizona, 18 points per game. So, he can just score. I think the kicker is where he's going to play minutes early on. I don't think Buddy Hield is there long-term. I think that's just consensus, right? Buddy Hield, we always hear about Buddy Hield in trades, but this situation specifically feels like a situation where he's going to get dealt to a contender, someone who needs shooting. And when he's traded, you look at Indiana, right? O'Shea Brissett, Aaron Nesmith, Langston Galloway, that is the other wing players around, Maturin.
You're good. You're good. You did your best.
I gotta get back.
Gotta keep watching that video.
Gotta keep watching the video. Just gotta close my eyes and envision it a little better. But once Hield is inevitably gone, there's no competition. And then we're talking about a team. He's playing around Tyrese Halliburton. We know how good he is at distributing the basketball. Miles Turner isn't exactly a score-first center. We don't even know if he's going to be there long-term. So I think Maturin has a really good opportunity early in the year to get, 20 to 25 minutes a game. And then later in the year, once Hield is inevitably gone, we're talking about 30-plus minutes of a guy who can help you win fantasy championships.
Who do you see winning the NBA title this year?
I can't believe I was looking at DK Sportsbook. Have you guys seen who the favorite is to win?
Yeah. Yep.
Clippers.
Yeah.
I think the Bucks, if plus 800, I really like Milwaukee. None of them played 70 games last year. Not a single member of that team. I like the addition of Joe Ingles when he eventually comes back. I just like the core of that team. I think they're very good offensively. They are very dominant at times defensively. They have one of the best perimeter defenders in the league in Drew Holiday. They have Giannis, who we know. So I'll go Milwaukee. And my sleeper is I don't even know if they're a sleeper anymore. I'm all over the Zion bandwagon for MVP. So I'll just throw out the Pelicans plus 3,500 if you want to get.
Oh my goodness, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh my, come on, dude. Come on. Wow. Dude, I will buy you. I don't know what I'll buy you, but I'll buy you something expensive that you can drink and get blacked out over again if the Pelicans end up winning the championship with those odds right there, Grande. You're the biggest Zion fan going into this year, and I'm hoping for you, James. I'm hoping for you that he comes through because it'd be great to see. And you're the flag bearer of Zion Williamson's fan base.
I'm just saying, 2 weeks ago I tweeted he was plus 3,500 to win MVP. He is plus 2,200 to win MVP today. Just saying, Zion 2.0, just look out. That's all I'm going to say.
Zion 2.0. Hey, Ronas and I got our fantasy basketball draft. Maybe Ronas with his 7th overall pick will pick Zion Williamson. What do you think, Ron?
Yeah, that's who I'm eyeing.
Let's see. I know everything. See, Grande? See, that's it. You make our show even better. We're building winners here, and you're part of it, being in the Fantasy Alarm family. And everybody can give you a follow. James Grande on Twitter at @the_real_Grande. Covers multiple sports, does a great job, works his tushy off. Grande, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Go Giants.
Absolutely, indeed. The New Orleans Pelicans. And yeah, we see your Yankee stuff right there, okay? Please. Yeah, that's baseball, Susan. We get it, Grande. Good luck against the Guardians. I'm so jealous of him, Ronas. He's a team that's in the playoffs in baseball right now.
They won't be here much longer.
Wow. I don't know if he heard that. I hope he didn't hear that. Might ruin his night right there. But Grande in a very good place, being a Giants and a Yankees fan right there. Let's talk a little waiver action. Let's talk about what's going on in the baseball games and then begin our journey through the NFC and talk about which teams only have 2 or 3 players that you can even remotely trust starting at this point. Fantasy Football 2022. This is what we're dealing with here on the Playbook on Bettor Sports Network.
Don't miss the Playbook, presented by FantasyAlarm.com, weekdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. Sponsored by Jock Market. Stay in the game.
What up, Pat?
You guys doing Jock Market now? Jock Market's fun.
Tell us a little bit about Jock Market. I mean, it seems like it's only in game, right? You can't do anything like right now. You got to wait until games start, right?
We have to wait for the IPOs to come out. Once the IPOs are dropped, you don't have to trade in game. Once the prices are dropped, let's say for the weekend slate or even for the Thursday night slate, they might be out right now. I haven't checked. You can kind of get in on a price.
So that's basically the key to it is beating the market, trying to hop in there as soon as the IPO opens. Are you building a lineup or are you buying shares of a particular player or players?
Players, just build a portfolio. It's just like playing the stock market. I can just go buy Pepsi Cola stock all I want. That can be the only stock that I buy. Maybe better to diversify in case that you're wrong on some of these things. So yeah, you can play as much or as little as you want.
Okay. So I think the part that it's a little bit confusing to me is like when the IPOs open and when to go in and buy and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can go in at any time to go buy because let's say we don't know if Michael Thomas is playing this week, for example. So like no one's going to buy Michael Thomas shares. So when the IPO drops, if he's still sort of questionable or we don't know if he's going to play, no one's going to buy those. His stock is going to go down before the game starts. So if you're like, I actually kind of like Michael Thomas if he plays, well, you just wait until like Sunday morning right before kickoff and just buy all the Michael Thomas shares if he's active. And then you get him for like 50 cents instead of like $2, which he probably is at opening.
So we're not buying like per season. We're buying per game.
Per game. And they have a month-long contest as well where you can do that to see like how it does over the course of the next month. But for every slate, so Monday night, Thursday night, London games, main slate, late slate, Sunday night football, there are brand new markets that you can get into. So if you miss one, no big deal. You can get it on the next one.
Love it.
I'm ready for it now. Basketball season is going to be lit.
He kicks the 0-1. Swinging a line drive up the middle, the base hit. Into center field. Castellanos around third. They're waving to the plate. Here's the throw from Harris. It's not in time. Castellanos scores, and Gene Segura with a 2-out RBI hit. And it's 4-1 Phillies. He kicks the pitch. Swung on, line to left. That's a base hit. Out of the reach of Swanson. 1 run is home. Here comes Hoskins home. He will score. And Nick Castellanos with his 3rd hit of the game. He's driven in 2 more, and the Phillies lead it 6-1.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis is sponsored by Jock Market.
Just shows that the game is never over as the Phillies end up hanging on, but 7-6. Matt Olson goes yard, 3-run jack, the bottom of the 9th inning in that one. You heard those highlights provided by the Phillies radio network there, and Nick Castellanos, Ronis in that win, not only getting it done at the plate, but also in the field with that nice layout towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, he has really not had the year that they envisioned, was injured, but coming up big today when they needed it. So nice win here for the Phillies in game 1 with Ranger Suarez on the mound. They only gave him 3 1/3 innings. But they used the bullpen quite a bit. Sir Anthony Dominguez, 2 scoreless innings with 3 strikeouts there. Max Fried going for the Braves. So Phillies now lead this best of 5, 1-0, taking game 1 in Atlanta. And now we'll have Zach Wheeler pitching in game 2 and Aaron Nola in game 3. So it is set up nice for the Phillies. Getting this W, big deal. So tomorrow afternoon, Zach Wheeler versus Kyle Wright at 4:35 p.m. Eastern. So big start here for the Phillies going up 1-0 on the Braves.
The Mariners there were sitting in the bottom of the 6th inning now, up 6-3 against the Astros. And in case you missed what went on in that one, Justin Verlander threw 4 innings of work, gave up 10 hits, 6 earned runs for the guy, got taken out after that. So it's the pen moving forward here. Logan Gilbert, big ups to Adam Ronis, fantasyalarm.com, one of his prize pick plays and calls that he made. Logan Gilbert over 3.5 strikeouts through 5 innings of work. He has 5 Roans, so score one for the Roan man right there. By the way, Roan, before I got a little surprise for you in just a second, but you've heard it as well during our box breaks, and I'll tell you once again that the playbook is sponsored not only by fantasyalarm.com, but also Jock Market as well, because Jock Market offers live daily markets for sports that let you buy and sell shares of athletes in real time with other users, all for real money, and each share has a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. Download now using promo code PLAYBOOK to receive 100% deposit match up to $100. Your first market will also be risk-free with losses refunded up to $100. Download the Jock Market app now using promo code PLAYBOOK. Ron, you asked me last week because we were talking about bobbleheads, and as you all know right now, the collection I started earlier this year that is still ongoing, I collect sports broadcaster bobbleheads. And Ron, you kind of jokingly asked me if I had one of myself, in which I said yes. So I made sure, because you're going to love this one. This was a bobblehead I got made of me as a gift back in the year.
What, 15 years ago when you had hair?
Yes, actually, 13 years
That doesn't
ago.
look like you at all.
It does not. This is me right there. It clearly needs a little bit of a paint job right there, but still, yeah, that's a nice Justin New York fan bobblehead.
I mean, who did that? They clearly don't have good vision.
Well, first of all, my wife, I guess, gave the picture to the artist and everything, and the artist.
I think it was a picture of our other man at the time.
What other man? I
don't know, but I think she gave.
What do you know?
Picture.
Seriously? Wow! What do you know about that? It's might have to have a talk after that, Ron. You're right about your bets. If you're right about this one, that's not good for me. But I'll say this.
It's too late. Statute of limitations. It was 15 years ago? So can't do nothing about it now.
No, I guess I can't. But I'll say this, is that the artist was very generous, as I did not have this much hair in 2009.
Clearly.
There was nothing there, clearly now, because this is me 13 years later. So this is the right now bobblehead of me that I have that you asked for here. What would you think of this if your significant other got you an Adam Ronis bobblehead as a gift? Would you like it?
I mean, it better look close to me. That looks nothing like you. So
you see my smile?
No.
Okay, you don't think this looks like me at all? Wow.
Not at all.
Yep, this is the bobblehead of the day, I guess. From there, this is a Justin Fensterman bobblehead. That the hands
looks more like Tom Brady than you.
I actually kind of agree with that. Wait, you're saying I look like Tom Brady?
No, wow. You don't. I said this looks nothing like you.
But this is me, Road.
But it's not.
The playbook is live on Bettor Sports Network. So yeah, this was so we can all have a lot of fun with this. This is bobblehead of me from back in the day. Well, also, by the way, reading your comments in the chat as well, Red Rum was saying about the cameraman was saying that confirming soft. Now, soft is me. Well, we'll have to see there based off what Ronis has said before. Work and Grind, though, was contributing to our Russell Wilson conversation we were just having with James Grande, asking maybe if he's a good buy low option at this point for those in super flex leagues. But in those leagues, Ron, is our quarterback's going to get devalued that much like a Russell Wilson? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to get in a super flex league as bad as he's been. I mean, I don't know what the price tag would be.
Yeah, that's Work and Grind. That's why it's very hard to value this guy overall in trades. And we talk about the markets for QBs. Trading in quarterbacks, I guess it's a little bit different. 2 QB starting or super flex, it's a little bit different. But especially in one quarterback starting leagues, very hard to value quarterbacks properly compared to players at the other positions. So hard to trade quarterbacks for non-quarterbacks. Tight ends, we've talked about the market when it comes to trading for that. How do you even value Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews at this point? Hard to when nobody else is really coming through that consistently. So that's what we're looking at when it comes to the landscape of trading at both of those positions. Ron, let's go through some of these NFC teams and talk about whether or not we can start at least 3 options with a good amount of trust. Some of these teams will be able to breeze through. A good amount of them, I'll tell you this now, Rome, we won't be. And let's start with the leaders in the clubhouse in the NFC East, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles at this point, because you're obviously starting Hurts there. You're obviously starting A.J. Brown every single time. Miles Sanders, who told us all not to draft him, is having a pretty good year there. And that's 3 right there. And I feel like because of the tight end position, you're always starting Dallas Goedert anyway. So I feel like this is a team that completely checks the boxes here.
And Smith. I mean, they got 5 guys that you're going to start on a weekly basis. So this is one of the few offenses that you know where the ball is going. And look, there's going to be weeks. You saw A.J. Brown. He had a down week this past week. He got a couple of catches early and not much after. And Smith had a big game. We saw Smith have a couple of down games as well. So they're all not going to go off every single week. But for the most part, you're starting all 5 of those players. You know, they got 3 passing targets, Sanders and Hurts. And there's not many teams that we look at where you can start 5 players every single week.
No, I did with this team, and especially with Goddard too. It's, you know, you're wondering there are only so many targets to go around for Goddard. 4, 6, 4, 6, and then 9, which he had against Arizona. I'm very interested, man. I'm so interested in this Philly-Dallas game to see if Dallas can, because I believe that Dallas can. If they could do it with Cincy, I feel like they'll be able to do it with Philly as well. It might be a little bit tougher, but that Dallas defense scares me, man, whenever I see my players playing them.
Yeah, only the 49ers have allowed more points in the NFC. They've only allowed 72 points on the season. And in fact, they're 3rd in the NFL. It's the 49ers have allowed only 61 points. The Bills have allowed 61 points as well. And then next up is Dallas at 72. So, I mean, yeah, they clearly have been living on the defense. They have not asked Cooper Rush to do much. You know, people are praising him, but Cooper Rush has really done nothing. He really hasn't. They are not being aggressive with him. They're being very conservative. And look, he's doing what he needs to do. They're not asking him to do a lot. The defense, you know, came through with a big play last week to put them up 7-0 right away. And that helps because now there's less pressure on Rush. And, you know, he just has to make a few throws per game. It's going to be a more difficult task this week up against Philadelphia.
Let's talk about your Cowboys here and talk about players. Again, this is almost like a confidence type of deal. Players that we can start, absolute confidence here. Not going to be as easy of a team because there are players I feel like on this team that you're forced to start. Dalton Schultz at this point. And
no.
And Ezekiel
you can't start
Elliott.
Schultz, right? He's banged up. He's got a
Right.
PCL injury. He aggravated it. They think he could play, but we've seen he hasn't been as effective. So right now, I might move him down. I have him right around 12, 13 at tight end for this week. Again, Hawkinson's out, Waller's out. So, but I might have to move him down. I'm going to have to wait till the practice reports, but he just hasn't been effective. So I don't think he's a must start right now. CeeDee Lamb is, and that might, I don't think Zeke's a must start, but you're probably starting him as an RB2. Pollard is hit or miss. He had the big run this past week, but we saw 2 weeks ago he wasn't good. He's in the RB3 conversation, and with bye weeks, you might start him this week. No Derrick Henry, no Jamal Williams, Swift, Damian Pierce. So there are some guys out where maybe you are playing Pollard, but I wouldn't say he's an every week start. And I don't think Michael Gallup is there yet. He's looked pretty good. He had a nice catch along the sideline. So they really don't have a lot for a team that's 4-1. They really don't have a lot. I'd say right now it's Lamb and Zeke, and that's about it at this point. Now, when Schultz is healthy, he will be an every week start. Obviously, when they get Dak Prescott back, he will be a guy that we're probably starting every week because I think they open up the offense more. And I'm interested to see too. Maybe they even dial it back down a little bit for Dak. You know, in the past, Dak has had to sling it because the defense hasn't been great. You know, I know last year they were improved. They created a lot of turnovers, but with the way they're playing now, maybe even they don't open up as much for Dak and lean more on the run. But right now, I think it's really Lamb and Zeke.
Starting Zeke doesn't even make me feel comfortable at this
No,
point.
it doesn't. It doesn't.
Because
You're all
they're not
it's all
throwing to him
it's all
at all.
volume. It's all volume, and you're hoping you get a touchdown at this point.
That's
He's
it.
not
He's
really
not
involved in
running
the passing game.
effectively, Roan. He's not doing too much there, and it just again, this was something that you were talking to me about during draft season. Here I am saying, wow, this is a great discounted price for him. He's healthy, but woof, it's been rough, man. I can't even put him on this confidence list. I'm forced to start him. That's the problem. I'm forced to start him.
I think many people are, especially with the bye weeks coming up.
Yeah. Ugh. Let's go to the Giants here. Another team. If we can, I mean, as good as the Giants are playing overall in reality, does that necessarily translate in fantasy? I don't think so, because outside of Saquon Barkley at this point, who else are you starting from this team? Nobody.
That's it. I mean, we might get to the point of Wan'Dale Robinson when he returns, and maybe it's this week. I kind of hope he returns this week. I could use him in a 14-team league where I have some injuries and bye weeks, so I'm hoping that he does play so I can put him in. He's clearly going to get a lot of targets. So right now, it's only Barkley. That's it. Even Daniel Jones in a super flex league is dicey. Like I said, this past week, I started Bridgewater over him. It did not work out. Bridgewater got hurt, but if Bridgewater does play this week, I will start him over Daniel Jones.
That's it. One player on the Giants there. For as good as the Giants have been playing, that's what we're talking about. That's the difference between fantasy and reality right now. Let's talk about the Commanders, the final team of the NFC East before we move on and stick in the NFC. With the Commanders, you can't start Antonio Gibson with confidence at this point. He is, like I think I said this yesterday, the guy's got no ceiling. He's going to have others that are going to attack any kind of targets he could receive, which I was very encouraged about after week 1. And then when it comes to carries, 9-3 last week, Brian Robinson's in, and he's going to only get more carries. This guy's screwed.
Yeah, you really can. I think I had him ranked 38th at running back last week. J.D. McKissick's the pass catching back. They clearly like Robinson, and he just returned coming off IR and got some touches. So, I don't think you could start any of those running backs right now. Even Terry McLaurin hasn't been great, but him and Curtis Samuel, and that's it. Jahan Dotson dealing with a hamstring injury, probably going to miss more time. He said there's no timetable. Logan Thomas, we don't know if he's going to play this week. He's always going to be in that tight end conversation and that 10 to 18 range, depending on the matchup, but he's banged up right now. So probably really just the two receivers with Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin.
So far, when it comes to this breakdown that we're doing, we have just one team of the 4 that we discussed that we can confidently start at least 3 players in. Some of these teams, you can't even start 2. That's what we're looking at. So for all of you that are feeling blue about your fantasy football teams, we are as well. Trust me, the scoring's down. I mean, we're all going to get hit from this. It hasn't been great. It's been a very tough year, and that's why we're doing this. We're also going to sneak in as well players that could be possibly still on your waiver wire as we go through all these teams, just getting warmed up. Have a few more divisions to go in the NFC. Then we flip it over to the AFC. We'll keep you up to date with baseball. This is the Playbook, your playbook to victory here on Bettor Sports Network, powered by FantasyAlarm.com and sponsored by Jock Market.
Playbook with Fensty and Ronis is sponsored by Jock Market. Bettor Sports Live with Rick Kamla.
He went to Denver to swindle a desperate franchise out of $250 million. That's what Russell Wilson did. He went to Denver in the great state of Colorado and bamboozled them all, including me. And now he is just bilking $250 million from these people. These poor people, they don't deserve this. Totally on board with the decision to bring on Russell Wilson. Totally on board. I don't regret it to this day. Absolutely the right move. Bold, aggressive move. Make a big trade. Pay him all the money. Bring him in. Now you're in the Super Bowl fast lane. Let's go giddy up Peyton Manning style. Russ is the one who has not held up his end of the bargain. This is on him, and I am looking at him completely differently right now.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis. Weekdays at 5 Eastern.
I wasn't going to mention it. I wasn't going to bring anything up.
Grounded slowly to third. Manny charges his. Now plays the hop. Throw to first is in time. And the Padres have not only captured the moment, they have captured the wild card series.
Really sucks when it comes to our New York Mets. They lost. Joe Musgrove's ears were pretty shiny, but whatever. They found nothing growing, and just like that, 101 wins out the window.
Yeah, I mean, disappointing performance to end the season. They played their worst baseball over the last month. They didn't do much at the trade deadline, which came back to hurt them all year. I said it was imperative that they win the division because of what happened. You put yourself in a 3-game series now where, you run into a team with good starting pitching like the Padres with Yu Darvish and Musgrove dominating, and this is what happened. So definitely a disappointing season, at least the end to the season, and they didn't come through when they needed to. They needed one win in Atlanta in the 3-game series. They didn't get it, and they showed up Saturday and did not show up at all last night. Just one hit, just really bad, man. So I want my refund for the divisional round because I did get tickets. And then they tell you, oh, you're not going to get your refund until 3 to 4 weeks after the conclusion of the postseason. Really? 2 months? Come on, give me my money now. You're not playing it. Give me my money back.
Maybe they have net 60 or something.
No, man, just give me my money. You're not playing. I want my money back.
Yeah, don't worry.
Shouldn't have to wait.
You'll win it back with your fantasy basketball league anyway, Ronas. We know how it goes, okay? We know how it goes.
Bettor Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
This is the Playbook with Fensty and Ronas, presented by FantasyAlarm.com and sponsored by Jock Market. Make real money every second of the game.
Justin Fensterman, Adam Ronas back with you, producing tonight's program. The Resource AB, Adam Bernard, and the People's Board Op, Jared Moore, hanging out with us. And we always talk about contests and giveaways here on Bettor Sports Network. And tell your friends to download the app. The Mark Messier jersey, give it away earlier, an autographed Mark Messier jersey on Moose and Keith. Well, we got 2 prizes coming for you tomorrow there on Bettor Sports Network, because you can listen once again to Moose and Keith, 11 Eastern, for your chance to win. How about this, Ronas? A Tony Dorsett signed Dallas Cowboys helmet, full-size helmet, Roan. Dude, what's the deal here, man?
Matt Deutsch is trolling me, man. A Mark Messier jersey, now Tony Dorsett. He's like, yeah, look at all these prizes you can't win. What is he doing? Those are two things I would want.
Right, and we not only can you not win, we can't even give them away on the show. It's Moose and Keith every single time.
I know. It's all right. You know what? I'll get in, and then I'll get my mom to be the winner, and then she can give it to me, right?
Yeah, that's true. No, look, man, if your mom is a Bettor fan and she calls in and she wins the jersey, she can do whatever she wants for it.
That's right.
Right. That's the thing. It's her jersey. If she wants to help you have a nicer display, which makes it look like you're a sports fan behind you.
Stop. My display's not bad. Come on. You see a Cowboys football in the background, there's like a bunch of bobbleheads.
I have 20/20 vision, man, and let me tell you.
Well, you can't even tell the color of my shirt half the days. Don't tell me you have 20/20 vision.
Hey, I'm on
You had to ask me yesterday, is that shirt black when it clearly was?
Well, you know why I did that, because that went along with me thinking that you were in mourning about the New York Mets, so it connected right there. Clearly not for you. So
I mean, come on. I got a Citi Field plaque behind me.
Yep, I see. Oh, yep, your Hall of Fame softball plaque.
Yeah, my Hall of Fame softball. Unless I get out of there, it is.
Yeah,
that's me.
I'm like, I can't see anything there. I see something Mets related. I see the Gary Cohen bobblehead there, which you were able to pick one up for me, which, again, thank you. I very much appreciate it. So you got some stuff there, but you know what would look nice, though? Right there sitting on top of your case where you got your Cowboys football. Boom, Tony Dorsett. Full-size autograph.
You can't see it, but I have 2 rings there from the FSGA.
They must have been pretty small rings then, Road. I can't even tell that they're there. It looks like there are coins on your display right next to the Cowboys.
No, those a couple of baseball cards that are signed, and then at the Mets, it was a Mets Hall of Fame pins. I went to a game and they gave them away.
Nice. There you go. So you got some on your display there, and then you got the Scherzer bobblehead, which you've talked about before, which I've tried to barter with.
The Cohen bobblehead, Pete Alonso polar bear bobblehead, some CBS bobbleheads for winning fantasy baseball titles.
Nice. Wow. Wait, you get a bobblehead from CBS for winning fantasy sports titles? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Very cool. We're all
well, maybe because are you the commissioner of the league? The commissioner gets them.
Oh, I didn't know that. Look at that. Look at that. Adam Ronis right there with his display. My display here, it's a bunch of, it's like this one. I'll shift this over just a little bit here. Kyle and Ray thought this one was very impressive. It's an autographed hardwood floorboard of Clyde Drexler.
You got to be careful of the angle of the camera because, I know you got some sex toys over there. So I don't know if you want to display those right now.
Do you want me to display them right now?
I mean, it depends what they are. I don't want to get into your personal business. I heard you do some wild things.
Well, while we're on the topic here, what is your favorite sex toy if we are talking about that? You clearly have a couple of favorites that are your go-tos like Scherzer and DeGrom. What are your top 2 seeds?
I'm not trying to get in trouble here.
Hey, man, if we can teach people how to have a little bit more fun when we're all off the air, then it benefits everyone when they're winning and scoring.
Yeah, we got a new idea for a segment from one of our producers. So read it.
Okay, so it could be a new segment. Instead of presenting bobbleheads, we could do the daily. Oh, yeah. Yes, there you go. I like that.
Yeah, not bad.
A.B. Adam Bernard. That's why he's the resource right there. He's chock full of good ideas, good tidbits, good nuggets, and good information there. But
make the show a little more spicy.
Yes. Hey, we have to, right? We have to. You're like the love doctor, man. Except you're not going to be married for a little while, but you're still the love doctor.
I think 60 is a reasonable age to get married,
Yeah, absolutely.
I do.
Absolutely. I don't know what kind of senior discounts you could get by then, but maybe you are able to get out of it for cheap. No?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. By the way, like I said, that's not the only giveaway, the Tony Dorsett autographed helmet that you could get, but then you've got with Rick Kamla and Lisa Ann tomorrow, you can have your chance to win a Giannis Antetokounmpo autographed green Milwaukee Bucks basketball jersey, 8 Eastern, Bettor Sports Live tomorrow. An autographed Giannis jersey. Please, I'm going to try to get, if I could even get one of my 3 friends that I have to actually call in, I would want the Giannis jersey, man. I love Giannis, dude. I love the whole story with Giannis. I love that he won a championship. You saw this guy who, everyone was having fun with his name back in 2013 when he was a rookie. But I don't know if you remember when Giannis first came in. He had no meat on his bones whatsoever. Very skinny, a lot like Kristaps Porzingis' frame up top. Very wide, but still very skinny. You could tell that he needed development, was going to get boxed out. Started to show his range a little bit, and then the aggressiveness. And then he put on a tremendous amount of muscle a few years ago, making him unrecognizable compared to what he looked like in his rookie year. And he's been, is there a more dominant player in basketball right now? We could talk about healthy LeBron. We could talk about players if healthy, but really it's him to me. And then it's Jokic, Luka. They're right there. But Giannis is probably the most dominant of the few.
Yeah, he's fun too. He's a great quote. Always like to hear him speak. So that is a good one. I would like that one as well.
Yeah, so with that, you can tune in to Bettor Sports Live tomorrow. Lisa and Rick Kamla to get your chance, 8 Eastern, to win an autographed Milwaukee Bucks Giannis jersey. That, to me, I'd want that more than the Dorsett helmet, and both of them are awesome prizes. You obviously want the Dorsett helmet.
Yeah, as a Cowboys fan, yes.
Yeah, for sure. To be eligible, though, for either prize, you need to download the Bettor Sports Network app for free. That's right, for free. You register for free as well. And you just have to be listening tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, for your shot at the Dorsett helmet, or 8 p.m. Eastern for your shot at the Giannis autograph helmet. And courtesy of gettingthegame.com and Bettor Sports Network, no purchase necessary, must be 18 or over. Winners within the last 90 days are not eligible. AB, the resource, coming up. Dude, we haven't had producers that actually write transitions for me. Can you believe that? You always make fun of my transition. AB gives a good one. Speaking of the Bucks, let's talk about the Packers.
He knows you need help.
Wow, look at that. Very nice there. Well, they're not the only team. After that, what we saw, what they did again in London against the Giants, the Packers, and someone that needs help. I need help because I have a hell of a lot of A.J. Dillon shares, and it's not paying off. I predicted him to have 10 touchdowns, and that is looking like a horrible prediction right now, Rodas.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Jones is pretty much someone you could start every week. Dylan is not at this point. And as far as the receivers, I think Lazard is. He looks for him in the red zone a lot. And Dobbs is close. And that's probably it. I don't even think Rodgers is a must start every week. I generally have him as a low QB1, high QB2. This week, probably he's a QB1. I think I do have him as a QB1. Again, a lot of you got Goff on bye, and actually not a lot of good core. Tannehill's not used, Davis Mills not used, and Derek Carr is kind of borderline there as well. So Rodgers not a every week start. Jones is, and Lazard. Yeah, Lazard's usually in the wide receiver 3 range of Dobbs right there. So
we can't name 3 with full confidence then, because Dobbs is so borderline at this point here. You're right about Lazard, though. The targets have been consistent, 8 the last couple of weeks, scored 3 of 4 weeks as well. So you can put that trust into him. But yeah, A.J. Dillon, someone when you're looking at PPR, only 1 game in double figures, that's it. And you like to see him getting at least double-digit carries. That's not even guaranteed anymore for him. And if you're not, at one point, Ron, we joked and laughed about it, that Dillon was actually, I believe it was after week 2 or week 3, Dillon was actually leading this team in targets. I believe he had 8 or 9 at the time. That's changed since.
No,
but
I think he had 6 in week 1.
Okay, so yeah, I think after week 3, he ended up with 9. That had him as the leader, and now that's not the case anymore. So another team that it's just so hard to find even 3 players. Let's go to another team here in the north of the NFC, and let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings for a minute here, because Justin Jefferson, very obvious there, just had some incredible weeks for him. I know that he had his 1 dud, but Rowan, I feel like when people see their top pick or their first round pick have 1 real dud of single-digit production, they overemphasize it, because I have to think that even if you have a player who's almost automatic, they're going to naturally have down weeks. And I feel like we expect them, a guy like Justin Jefferson, to put a 20 spot up in fantasy and PPR every single week, but that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, but he had 3 for 14 against Detroit. That's terrible. You don't expect that. And even week 2 wasn't a good game. 6 for 48, for a guy that you took in the top 3. Now, he's more than made up for it the last 2 weeks, and he has at least 11 targets in 4 or 5 games and back-to-back weeks of double-digit receptions. So he's back to where you expected. So he's a must-start every week. Dalvin Cook is, even though they have used Alexander Mattison a lot the last 2 weeks. Cook's snap rate is around 62%, I think, over the last 2 weeks. So, he's got the shoulder issue. They have been using Madison a little bit more. You're still playing Cook, though. He's going to score touchdowns. Thielen, I don't think so must start every week. He seems to be in that wide receiver 3 range. Cousins, a borderline QB1, depending on the matchup. He's coming off a good game. Irv Smith, is that tight end 2. Can't rely on him. So I'd say probably 2 to 3 guys for them. I mean, definitely Cook and Jefferson, and Cousins seems to be hovering around that QB1. He'll be a QB1 this week.
Yeah, Miami not doing well against those quarterbacks. I believe they're bottom 5 there with defense against quarterbacks. So that's a good matchup for Kirk Cousins. But that's what we have to come to at this point, barely getting the 3rd guy over the top. This is a lot of teams, and I'm keeping track, by the way. We're going to review this again in the next few weeks and see what changes. Let's continue with division here and go with – we shouldn't even talk about this team. This team's an automatic no, I feel like. Chicago. You're not starting 3 players from that squad.
No, it's Montgomery or whoever the starting running back is. I mean, we saw Herbert 2 weeks ago. This week, Montgomery. So he would be the start. Fields was better this past week, but you're still not starting him. Mooney, you don't feel confidence in. Cole Kmet, you don't feel confident in. So, I mean, this is a game this week, though, maybe against Washington where they could put up some points, but you cannot start any of these guys with confidence right now. So it's just Montgomery, and that's it.
Montgomery, yeah, that's another one where it's like, look, you saw him coming. Were you surprised with the performance that you saw from Montgomery upon his return?
No, I mean, I didn't know if they would limit him. It's always tough to know. First game back. will they limit him? But, he had 16 touches, and he did find the end zone. He didn't do much on the ground. He was 12 for 20, but was 4 for 62 in the passing game. So he wound up having a good week. So I wasn't sure. But 16 touches pretty much put him right back in.
Let's talk about a team that's going to be on bye, the final team of the North here, and that is the Detroit Lions. A lot has changed in a week regarding this team. I maybe didn't expect them to beat the Patriots or have an easy time, but I did not expect what I saw there with 29-0 from that game. And I actually, in a few weeks, it worked out a couple of times streaming Goff this week. But now you're going to start DeAndre Swift when he's in. You're going to start Amon-Ra St. Brown, obviously healthy now. And then I guess this is a team where you are going to find 3 players that you could start with confidence. Can you start Hawkinson with full confidence?
No, but the state of the tight end position, who else do you have? So that there's going to be a low floor every week for those tight ends that are not top 3. So you're pretty much starting them if you have them, unless maybe you have him in Njoku. I'd probably start Njoku over him most weeks at this point with the way he's involved in the offense. And then because they can put up points, you're probably not a must start, but I think, a DJ Chark, Josh Reynolds, depending on who's healthy, can also be started, and maybe a Jamal Williams as well. So the thing with them is they give up so many points. They've allowed 170 points on the season, which is the most in the NFL, but they're also able to produce offensively. Even with them being shut out, they put up 140 points on the season. And that is, believe it or not, the most in the NFC. So even though they got shut out last week, they still have scored the most points in the NFC, 5 more points than Philadelphia. And in the AFC, the only teams to score more are the Bills and the Chiefs. So their offense has produced for fantasy.
So overall, the North here in the NFC, we have Chicago as a no, Detroit actually as a yes. Minnesota was very borderline there. What do you think at the end of the day? Yes or no on Minnesota?
Yes.
Okay, and then Green Bay was also pretty borderline as well. But we're probably going to go no for them, right? Unless we can start Dobbs with confidence.
Yeah, probably a no. He's kind of wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 range at this point.
So if you're just joining us here on the playbook, this is the little activity that we're doing. We'll continue doing it tomorrow as well. We're starting with the NFC, going division by division. Can you start 3 players? And we know it's relative to your league size and all, and lineup length and everything like that. But can you start 3 players from ex-NFL team with confidence? So far, Dallas, no. The Giants, no. The Eagles, yes. Washington, no. Detroit, yes. Chicago, no. Minnesota, yes. Green Bay, no. That is what we're looking at as we're halfway through the NFC right now. We'll keep it going there. We'll continue to look at these teams and whether or not we can start these players with confidence. It's one thing starting the player, but starting them with confidence, that is another story. He's Adam Ronis. I'm Justin Fensterman. This is the Playbook on Bettor Sports Network, powered by FantasyAlarm.com and sponsored by Jock Market.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis is sponsored by Jock Market. Make real money every hour, every minute, every second of every game. The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
The only person, I've said this to you before, who I believe back then, of all those power hitters who truly was clean, Ken Griffey Jr.
I think so when he got hurt. We'll never know that for sure either.
No, dude.
We've seen guys who were not big take substances.
That's true.
Get busted. So it's not about that always.
I hear you. It's just, don't you think with the way his career kind of went, you would think that he didn't take anything?
I don't think he did, but we'll never know 100%.
I'm going to keep telling myself that he didn't. The 1 year player, he's my favorite baseball player of all time. In the 1990s, Ron, as a kid, as a 5-year-old kid who plays video games and collected cards, there was no one cooler than Ken Griffey Jr. I still wear my hat backwards because Ken Griffey Jr. did it, and he looked really cool doing that, wearing a backwards baseball cap. He made everything the guy did looked cool. Even the home run in the movie Little Big League, it's acting, it's all, I guess, fake, but even he made that look cool. Ken Griffey Jr., you're a little bit older than me, but in the 90s, was there besides Michael Jordan, was there a more loved athlete than Ken Griffey Jr.?
Yeah, no, I love Griffey. He's one of my favorite players ever, from defensively to hitting his swing. And yeah, I would have loved to see what he could have done if he had stayed healthy, the final numbers he'd finished with. So no, I was a huge fan of Ken Griffey, and it's a shame though that all those injuries towards the end of his career just really limited the production he could put up, but he still put up elite numbers. He was so fun to watch. So I'm a huge Ken Griffey guy.
And here's the other thing too. So 1994, the season got shortened because of the strike.
And he finished with 40 homers in 111 games that year, man. And then he had 56 2 years in a row, 97 and 98, and then 48. He had a stretch 4 years in a row, 49, 56, 56, 48, 40. I mean, unbelievable. And then, yeah, once he hit like 31, he started to miss games, 111, 70, 53, 83. So think about that, all those years that he lost, and he still hit 630 home runs, man. Yeah. So if he was clean, he would have been the all-time home run champion. Again, we're all guessing here, but you would think, all right, well, once he got into age 31, 32, that's when the body started breaking out, which is typical, right, for someone who's not using anything, whereas we saw Barry Bonds just get better with age, and we did not see that with Griffey. So look at 2001, where he's 31, he played on, look at the home runs decline, 8, 13, 20, 35, 27, 30, 18, 15 to his age 38 season. Even age 39 in 170 games, he had 19 home runs. So he probably would have definitely been the all-time home run leader had he been able to stay healthy.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
We'd like to thank Jock Market for sponsoring the Playbook with Fensty and Ronis. Jock Market. Make real money every second of the game.
All right, Ronis, now you do the impression of Nando DeFino's voiceover promotion of Jock Market right there. Let's see how close you can get. You remember what he just said?
I don't.
I figured as much. I figured instead, I'll just...
Jock Market.
I love that. I love that. By the way, Love Dips in our comments section. Our buddy there is constantly watching us, saying the Fensty background greater than the Ronis background. Uh-oh.
I don't care.
I know you don't care. Well, you do. You do care, but you're not going to say.
I don't. I mean, my background. I'm here to win championships, not background championships.
This is the background championship. I mean, come on.
No, stop. Because I don't go all out trying to do this. I make it just presentable.
I love this stuff. It's not even a chore to just go all out. It's fun hanging this stuff. I mean, dude, don't you wish you had a Shaquille O'Neal autograph wrapping photo?
Yeah, definitely. That's I wake up and dream about it every night.
Don't you wish you had a New York Mets poster here of Beltran, David Wright, Jose Reyes, and Billy Wagner hanging up?
I like those guys.
Yes, exactly. 2006, man. No bitterness here from us Mets fans. 2006 was their year. That was the year of destiny. And just them losing to the Cardinals. Luckily, I was in college. If I was at home watching that back in high school, it would have been such a more depressing of a moment. When I was in college, it was like, this really stinks. I was lamenting it, and then, okay, let's go party, and that was it. So very fortunate from there. Eugenio Suarez, by the way, homering for the Mariners, extending their lead 7-3. We're in the top of the 8th inning in that game. We'll talk a little bit about the games that are still upcoming. But right now, what we're doing on the playbook, and coming up after us, I mean, we've been talking a lot about Better Sports Live. Tonight after us, it will actually be on call with Dr. Roto, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern after the playbook. We're up to the NFC South, Ron, and let's start with whether or not we can find a few players that we can start with confidence here on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because you've got Fournette, you've got Mike Evans, and then after that, I mean, Chris Godwin's now come back and put up some good performances, getting targeted 6+ times in both of those games here. So I guess with the Buccaneers, they do hit the mark because you've got those three right there. And you could start Tom Brady too.
Yeah, I think so. Depends on the matchup, but we've seen a couple big games from a yardage perspective last couple weeks with more touchdowns, but I think it will get better, especially as he has the full complement of weapons back at the wide receiver position. So, yeah.
Yes, and by the way, AB Adam Bernard is saying in our chat here, in our show chat, that he checks eBay every day for. Well, I'm someone that actually kind of likes surfing on eBay. Ron, you big?
I know
eBay guy?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't even remember the last time I opened it, to be honest, for real.
You're not into the sports memorabilia as much, I feel like. You're not rushing to look for a jersey to buy on discount.
No. I mean, I like that stuff and I have a bunch of jerseys, but it's not something I'm actively seeking out.
Yeah, no. And again, that's for my sports broadcaster bobblehead collection. That's where I've been able to find a lot there at good prices there. No, they are not sponsor eBay of the playbook by any stretch of the imagination. Let's move on to the Atlanta Falcons. It's almost weird when we have a team that we're just in consensus yes-ons that we can start 3 players with confidence from. Let's go to the Atlanta Falcons and talk about, I guess it's everything situational, because if Kyle Pitts is in, you're forced to start him. That doesn't necessarily mean we're starting him with confidence. Drake London was that guy. He's now banged up as well. Patterson's on the IR. So it's one of those things that, let's say everybody on this team, Roan, is healthy. Can we still start 3 from this team with confidence? I don't know about that.
Nah, probably London, and I don't think people are confident starting Pitts right now. Maybe it gets better. You got the hamstring injury as well. So I did not put him in my initial rankings for the week. It's a hamstring, so they're tricky. Sometimes you miss multiple weeks. We heard today that Damien Harris likely going to miss multiple weeks. So I would say probably just Drake London at this point. And even when Patterson comes back, Damien Williams could return this week. We saw him heavily involved in week 1, and they've been using him in multiple running backs. So it's probably just Drake London at this point. Pitts when he's back, yes. Do you feel confident? No, but you drafted him early, and you got to figure at some point they're going to figure out a way how to get the ball in his hands.
Let's move on to a team that's probably going to be a no at this point. This team just made a coaching change. That's the Carolina Panthers. Outside of Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, you can't you're starting him, but you don't have full confidence in him based off what you've seen. He hasn't had that amazing ceiling game yet. Has only been targeted double digits once this year so far. Do you start DJ Moore with confidence? You're starting him. You're putting him out there. Start Worthy. Now the QB situation is still going to be crappy. We'll have to see at this point. Darnold hurt, Baker hurt, PJ Walker potentially is going to be starting. DJ Moore, you can't start with confidence.
No, he's usually in the 30s now at wide receiver. Again, it depends on what you have. And look, it's going to get tough now because bye weeks are starting. So you're going to see some very uncomfortable players that you're putting in your starting lineup this week. And this bye week is actually not that bad because you have Tennessee, and the only player you're starting there is Derrick Henry. Houston, Damian Pierce. I don't even know about Brandon Cooks anymore. Detroit obviously kind of hurts a little bit. And who's the other team that I'm missing?
Let me look at the schedule. I was on it before, and now I'm not. Raiders.
And the Raiders, yeah. And they have a few guys. Jacobs has been great. Carr, borderline. Devontae Adams, obviously, who's you lost. But it could be much worse. But you're still going to be seeing some players that you have to uncomfortably put in your lineup this week, and it'll only get worse as the buys continue and injuries and underperformance. So trust me, you're probably going to – if you have 2 players on bye this week, it's going to be a situation where you're like, oh, I can't believe I have to start this guy. Trust me, as you start to go through your lineups, as you're doing waivers, you're going to be feeling very uncomfortable with some of those lineups you submit this week.
Yeah, and that's why you got to make sure you check Ronus's rankings, his weekly rankings for fantasy football on fantasyalarm.com. It's constant; they're constantly being updated. They have to be because of all the injuries and stuff that we continue to face every year. It's not just this year; it's every year when it comes to football. Contact sport, that's what's going to happen. Even no matter how many times they're trying to soften it up a little bit, it's football. It's full contact. Players are going to get hurt. You're better off dealing with it mentally if you go into the season thinking some of your players are going to get hurt because probably more likely than not, it's going to happen. So far in this division, we have the Bucs as a yes that you could start 3 players with confidence, and then the Falcons and the Panthers no, and that brings us to the New Orleans Saints who just continue suffering injuries. But let's say, Ron, that everybody is healthy. You're talking about Michael Thomas fully healthy, Kamara. You're talking Chris Olave when he's fully healthy. Do the Saints fit the bill here?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, when Thomas is out there and might not be often, you're playing him. Olave definitely, you're playing him. We'll see if he's able to go this week. And I know Kamara's been a disappointment, but he's in that RB2 range every week where you're going to play him. So I would say yes for the Saints.
Also, the Saints, the second team of this division. So one more division to go in the NFC. And let's start with a team that a bunch of us had high expectations for when it comes to some of their players. I know that from having Stafford on a few teams, from having Allen Robinson on a few teams as well. And that is the Rams, the LA Rams here, Roan. So we've got Cooper Kupp, who's the obvious one. After that, I guess Tyler Higbee, because he's getting so many targets. And then you can't start Stafford with full confidence. I think this team's a no.
Yeah, they're minus 36 in point differential. They have absolutely been terrible. So to me, it's Kupp and Higbee. Allen Robinson, you can't start. Stafford, this week might be a week because the bye weeks and they're playing Carolina and they are 11-point favorites right now. But it's just been really bad for him. So I'm going to say only two. It's Kupp and Higbee. That's it.
Yeah, Stafford's got to start throwing more touchdown passes. Allen Robinson at this point, he's doing it's pretty much what we saw last year from him and not really doing much. Has actually only 1 week where he scored in double figures in PPR. That's it, just one. It's coming off the 3 for 12. And we were joking about his yardage prop. What was it at? Was that 35?
For Allen Robinson?
Yeah, last week.
I think I saw 39.5, and I was going to give it out as an under on our props, and I didn't. I should have. So I'm interested to see where it goes this week. I mean, they have to drop it further because I'm pretty sure there has to have been some people who have been hammering that under at this point. Can't blame them. So I'm interested to see how far it goes down.
Imagine if he gets the Jacobs treatment, 18.5 receiving yards for Allen Robinson. It's not going to be that low.
You can't take it under that low for a receiver. I mean, with him, he could definitely hit it, but that is just insane because there could be a breakdown and he's wide open on one play and goes over that. So, but if it's around 40, you can definitely consider the under with the lack of production he has given us so far.
Yardage for Allen Robinson this season, 12, 53, 23, 7, and 12. Not what you like to see, especially if you have multiple shares of this guy. Let's go to another team here, and let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals. That's a team I feel like fully healthy. That one is able to check the box because you've got fully healthy with confidence. Brown, Ertz. I mean, I guess you have to fully healthy and everyone active. You got to put Hopkins in there as well, technically, right? If we're doing this.
I mean, he's not there now, but when he is, yeah, Brown, Ertz, Connor, if he's healthy, although we'll see if he plays this week dealing with the rib injury. And they did add Corey Clement, although that's also because Darrell Williams is hurt. So, one or both of those guys could be out, which makes Benjamin a good pickup if he's available, as he looked good last week. And Kyler Murray pretty much is an every week start, as shaky as it looks at times. I don't understand, he has not been running a lot. And then late in the game, they called a couple of quarterback draws where he picked up yardage. I don't understand why they're not doing this earlier in the game. It makes no sense to me. He had 4 carries for 42 yards. I know for sure 2 of those plays came late in the game because I was watching that part and I saw, they're calling a quarterback draw. Now, maybe it's because the prevent defense, but I don't think that was the case. But they got to let Murray run a little bit more because he has not really run much this year. And he has not been good, but he still has that ability to give you the rushing yards on a weekly basis. He actually does have at least 26 rushing yards in 4 of the 5 games, but the attempts are way down. His attempts are 5, 5, 2, 12, and 4. And the week he had 12, he only had 26 yards. So he does have 2 rushing touchdowns as well. So it's not what we wanted. We want to see him run more. Passing-wise, it's been a disappointment. The attempts have been there, but their offense just doesn't look smooth. It looks like there's a lot of miscommunication between him and Kingsbury. We'll see if Hopkins can help when he comes back. But, because the quarterback position has been so down in that middle round part, if you have Murray, you're pretty much playing him every week. And the good thing is that the pass attempts have been there. Now you need to see it translate to more touchdowns, and you want to see him run more.
How do you feel about the matchup against Seattle? It's a pretty good matchup for him.
Oh, you're starting everyone there. They've been so bad defensively. So if Benjamin's in this week as a starter, that'll look good. Even Rondell Moore, he had 7 for 68 last week on 8 targets. So him, Hollywood Brown, you're pretty much starting everyone in this game.
It's funny because I'm actually looking at the Cardinals schedule, and you were complaining about this divisional matchups, this second matchup being a little too close to the first one. They actually play Seattle twice in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, it just sometimes they do it. I don't know why, but they should be spreading those divisional matchups further apart. I mean, they just played the Rams a couple weeks ago. They play them again on the 13th of November. So not as close, but yeah, they should be spreading those divisional matchups further apart.
A few good matchups coming up for them. They've got Seattle, they've got New Orleans, Minnesota, Seattle again, and then they hit the Rams, 49ers, and Chargers, which will be a little bit tougher. So interesting stretch coming up for the Cardinals, but they remain a yes on this list, no for the Rams. Let's move on to a team that we were just talking about here, division rival Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith makes the list at this point. This team might make the list, Roan, based off what we've seen recently, especially Smith, Metcalf, and Lockett, Ken Walker too. I think they make it.
Yeah, Geno is in that QB1 conversation right now. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but he's putting up numbers. So I do have him ranked as a QB1 this week. Walker, obviously, with Penny being out, I'm interested to see how they use him on passing downs because they didn't use Penny much. So that's something to keep an eye on. But Walker will be a start every week, as well as Metcalf and Lockett. And yeah, so there's 4 guys there now. So, and this is why going into the year, like when you project these teams, like, sometimes things happen that we didn't expect, and we would have been like, oh, Seattle's a terrible offense. We're going to play our defense against them. Not the case right now. They're playing well. So, yeah, they do have 4 players that we can rely on right now.
Let's move to the final team of the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers. Players that are in contention include Deebo Samuel, Jeff Wilson, Elijah Mitchell, whoever is in there. So they're in contention. And then you have Brandon Ayuk as well, and then George Kittle, who are also potentials. George Kittle, in the few games we've seen him so far, not very good for him, but based off the position, you're still starting him anyway. I mean, this matchup against Atlanta should be a little bit more forgiving for him, and he should be able to have an easier time. But do you think that they fit the 3 with confidence, at least with whoever's starting at running back, Deebo and Kittle alone?
I don't know about Kittle, man. It's not his fault. It's not matchups. They just use him to block so much. He is one of the elite tight ends in the NFL, but it's not translating statistically. So, I mean, if you have Kittle, you're probably starting him, but he just kind of goes further down my rankings each week because the volume is just not there. And it's not his fault. It's just they don't pass a lot, and they ask him to block because he's so good at it. So, he's been a major disappointment so far, and that's why I kind of avoided him, but I did get stuck with him in a draft. It was late 6th round. I was like, damn, it's kind of late, and a lot of the wide receivers were off the board that I wanted. It was a wide receiver every draft, and I took him, and now I'm like, why'd I take him? Because I kind of knew this could happen. So there'll be some games for him. He'll probably have a 2-touchdown game coming up, but it's going to be a disappointing season for him again, just the way they utilize him. And, the defense is number 1. And they don't need to open it up. I mean, especially this past week, they won by 22. The week before, 24-9. So the surprising game was the Denver one. That was close, but neither team could do anything offensively. But, I mean, just because of the position, you're saying yes, but you don't feel good putting Kittle in your lineup right now.
I'm putting them a no then. I thought with Jimmy G there that Brandon Ayuk would start to put up more production, but I mean, maybe it's because of the scores and everything, but he's not really getting targeted much these last 2 weeks.
They just don't throw much. That is the problem. And that's why all year I'm like, how do people expect Deebo, Ayuk, and Kittle to all be returning on their fantasy return? We heard glowing reports about Ayuk in camp. We know Deebo's going to get the football, and we know they're going to run the football, whether it's Mitchell Wilson. How this offense is just not built for all of those guys to return their value.
Let's review the NFC. And this activity for the day. Can we start at least 3 players from an NFL team on our fantasy teams with full confidence? Dallas, no. Giants, no. Eagles, yes. Washington, no. It's one yes thus far. Detroit, yes. Chicago, no. Minnesota, yes. Green Bay, no. Tampa Bay, yes. Atlanta, no. Carolina, no. The Saints, yes. The Rams, no. The Cardinals, yes. Seahawks, yes. 49ers, no. That's 7 teams here of the 16 that we can start, Roan. 3 players with full confidence in. That's it. Just 7. That's under 50% right there.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad, man, this year with and we're seeing it in the scores. And that's why, we mentioned those elite quarterbacks, if you have them, they just stand out because they're dominating it. Alex Bregman homer. That was another guy I was going to put in my video, man, for his fantasy score. Wow. But he hits a 2-run homer. So now all of a sudden the Astros are down 7-5 in the bottom of the 8th inning with 1 out. So game not over yet.
Come on, Mariners. Hold off this team. Let's go. I want to see I love the city of Seattle, mainly because I feel bad for them because they got the Sonics taken away that long ago. But you got to be thinking most are pulling for the Mariners here.
Probably. I mean, obviously, a lot of people do not like Houston for went on. I still think they're a hell of a good team. And I just want whoever wins to beat the Yankees if the Yankees advance. That's all I'm looking for. But it would be nice to see Seattle get to the World Series.
Yes, your nightmare World Series matchup would be Yankees versus Braves.
Oh my goodness! Before. Oh man! And in the past, I have not rooted, but when that series happens, I've said I root for the Yankees to lose, but man, I don't know. I hate the damn Braves right now. So yeah, that would be the worst World Series for me. Braves, Yankees would be terrible. Phillies, Yankees would be terrible as well.
What's funny is the 96 World Series between the Yankees and the Braves actually piqued my interest for baseball even more. I was all basketball until then. In 96, it's about 9 years old. That World Series made me hugely into baseball after that. Now I don't root for either team. I don't really like either team at all, but that was that team, that series that really just made me even more into baseball here. So that's what we're looking at here when it comes to football here. We'll do the AFC tomorrow. Let's talk about what's to come for the other 2 matchups in baseball for tonight. We'll see if the Roan Man has one more play for us. Find out what that is on the playbook, your playbook to victory, powered by fantasyalarm.com here on BSN.
This is the Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by fantasyalarm.com and sponsored by Jock Market. Make real money every second of the game.
Corey, Nando, and friends, presented by Mayo Media on Bettor Sports Network.
I'm convinced that Babe Ruth is a fictional character. Babe Ruth is not real. No, it's not. Babe Ruth is not real. We've been hoodwinked. We've been bamboozled. We've been led astray. We've been run amok.
Keep going.
Babe Ruth. I don't know the rest. Babe Ruth is a fictional character. I'm dead serious. Babe Ruth is a fictional character. Y'all are never going to get me to believe that Babe Ruth is real. Babe Ruth is like a baseball Santa Claus. I'm not buying it. After I saw those highlights last night of Babe Ruth, I'm like, there's no way you can tell me that Babe Ruth is a real person. Who do you know? There is nobody under the sound of my voice that has ever seen Babe Ruth play. I asked my pop, you ever seen Babe Ruth play? He's like, no. Nobody's ever seen Babe Ruth play.
Come on.
I'm telling you, Babe Ruth is a fictional character. Even Babe Ruth baseball cards, it looked like it's drawn. Like, Babe Ruth is not real. Y'all trying to pull a fast one. Listen, I don't know who made this up. Maybe it was Phil Rizzuto. Maybe it's the Lenny Melnick. But Babe Ruth is not a real person. There's no way. Everything about Babe Ruth is sketchy. If you didn't go to the games, how do you know that it really happened? Or I listened on the radio. You listen to Ovaltine on the radio. That old school radio was all fiction. Everything on old school radio was fake. But you think Babe Ruth is real.
Look, he lived until 1948. So if you find someone who's like 85 years old, they might have remembered him when he was little, when they were a little teenager.
Babe Ruth was made up by baseball purists. I am certain
You do that thing where you pause the Babe Ruth video and you zoom in and you zoom in and you zoom in. You see like some artist's autograph like right here.
Some
digital mark right here. Yeah.
Somebody need to investigate this and see if Babe Ruth is a real person. I'm pretty sure Babe Ruth is a fictional character created to make people think that like there was this great jolly old baseball player that drank beers and ate hot dogs and hit 60 home runs. Like the home run record before Babe Ruth was like 14. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and
but
now
he figured it out. You know, like who figured out the dunk, right? Like he's just like,
that's like Dr. J or something, right? Then Dr. J, probably was before Dr. J, but Dr. J made the dunk famous. Babe Ruth made the home run famous, or maybe that was a way to get people to like, we're gonna make baseball America's pastime. But in order to do so, we need somebody who we can make the face of the sport. And they didn't have no face of the sport. So they're like, okay, let's make him a fictional guy that played for the Red Sox and was traded to the Yankees for like tickets to tickets to cats. You know what I'm saying? Like the Red Sox get a Yankees.
You tried to say
is there any footage of Babe Ruth in the Red Sox uniform? None. I'm telling you, Babe Ruth is a fictional character.
Better Sports Network is sponsored by Jock Market. The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
You can look back at both outings. I mean, even the one here, if I, get that slider down to Muncie, or probably, in the sixth inning with one run or whatever it was, and then, it's kind of seemingly been like one mistake, and they're a team they kind of put a spotlight on those mistakes, I guess you could say. But I feel like I had good stuff against them the last couple times.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com on Better Sports Network.
We got one baseball game in the division series in the books as the Phillies beat the Braves 7-6 earlier. The Mariners hanging on right now, 7-5, though. Houston threatening again with one on here in the bottom of the eighth inning. So the Mariners are right now winning. And then you've got the Yankees and the Guardians getting ready to start up in less than an hour. And then you actually just heard Mike Clevenger talk about what it's like when you have to face the Dodgers. And this is just going to be a very tough matchup, even for the Padres. And the big question is, Ronis, I don't know if you checked out the props, but is there a prop on how many times Padres batters call timeout throughout this game tonight? Because that's something else I noticed on Sunday night. They were doing that an awful lot, my man.
Yeah, they were doing that throughout the series. So I know they asked Melvin about that. He said that wasn't discussed as a game plan, but they were trying to disrupt the flow of the Mets starting pitchers, and certainly worked. But the Dodgers, obviously a dominant team this year, and they destroyed the Padres. They just dominated that. Clevenger was not good against them this year. He made 3 starts against them, and he was 0-2 with a 9.69 ERA and a 1.54 WHIP. And he went 5 innings, 3 1/3, and 4 2/3. So he just hasn't had a lot of good success against the Dodgers this year. And that was the thing with the Padres going 3 games. They won't be able to use Darvish till game 2, which will be tomorrow. The NL games 1 and 2 go back to back. The AL, they start today, the game 1s, then they're off tomorrow, and they come back on Thursday.
Any shot that the Guardians can take out the Yankees? I know we want that, but still, any shot that you think that the Guardians can take out the Yankees early?
They have a shot. I don't think they will. You saw the lack of offense against Tampa Bay. I mean, you just can't do that against the Yankees. You're not going to go 15 innings scoreless. I know the Yankees offense at times can be shut down, but if you go that long in a scoreless game, at some point, they're probably going to hit a home run. Cleveland, second fewest home runs in baseball this year. Only the Tigers hit less. What Cleveland does do well, they pitch well, they play really good defense, they run the bases well, and they make a lot of contact. They do not strike out a lot. So, they're gonna have everything go together. Look, I think the Yankees do have some issues though. The back end of the bullpen is a problem. What is the health of Clay Holmes? Efros not on the roster. Aroldis Chapman knew the Yankees would lose, didn't even want to show up to workouts. He said, you know what?
Yeah, what's that about, bro?
Well, he said he wanted to know if he was going to make the playoff roster, and the Yankees couldn't guarantee it, so he decided not to show up, and that obviously made the decision for the Yankees very easy. I mean, it's not like he was pitching good anyway, and they had no confidence in him. But I just do think the back end of the bullpen is a question mark, and we've seen Garrett Cole be hittable. I think there are some Yankee fans that did not want to see Cole start here. I think they feel more confident in Nestor Cortez and Luis Severino. So we'll see how Cole handles this. And Cleveland go with Cal Quantrill tonight, guy that has actually pitched very well over the last couple months, but allows a lot of contact. So I expect the Yankees to win this series. I think clearly, and I would have said it before today, I think the Astros got the tougher matchup. I think both 1 seeds got the tougher matchups, even though the Phillies did beat the Braves today. I mean, the Dodgers have to play a Padres team. Again, they have handled them easily throughout the regular season, but when you got Yu Darvish and Musgrove capable of pitching like they are, that's kind of scary. And then to me, the Mariners are better than Cleveland. So Houston got the tougher matchup as we're seeing today, with the Mariners leading going to the 9th inning right now.
You hit your prop that you predicted earlier on fantasyalarm.com. Logan Gilbert over 3.5 strikeouts. Ron, I think you got one more in the cooker from your video on the website. We'll go to you for that in just a second. Want to remind all of you once again that not only are we powered by fantasyalarm.com here on the Playbook on BSN, but we're also sponsored by Jock Market. And again, for those that are unfamiliar, Jock Market offers live daily markets for sports that let you buy and sell shares of athletes in real time with other users, all for real money. And each share is a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. You can download now using promo code Playbook to receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Your first market will also be risk-free with losses refunded up to $100. Download the Jock Market app now by using promo code Playbook. And when I think about that, shares of athletes, Ron, I know we've talked about this website before, but it reminds me of the old Small World days back in fantasy sports. I know how much you loved it back when you can have a league with multiple teams having the same player based off how they're performing. I remember when Michael Jordan was on the Wizards, when I was playing on Small World, he was always at least $13 million of that you would have to spend on him of your $65 million budget. And that taught me a lot more about being a GM than a run-of-the-mill fantasy sports league.
Yeah, but always try and get that player that was cheap that I knew would start putting up stats and their salary would go in, and you would lock them in at that cheap price, and that would allow you to pay up for the superstars. So, yeah, it was a lot of strategy involved.
Yeah, Tim Duncan was always 14, 15 mil. I remember that was my start to fantasy sports. I started playing fantasy sports in the year 2000. What about you?
I don't remember the first year, but it was definitely in the 90s.
Man, in the 90s. Wait, were you scoring using like USA Today and all that? Or was the internet age there at the time? I can't see you doing that, sitting there box score surfing, writing down every little.
No, I would. I used to play video games and do the announcing like Messier to Tikkanen and keep track. I'd be like, all right, Messier a goal, Tikkanen assist. And I would write it down in a book before those video games actually tracked everything. So I would do stuff like that.
Oh, nice. I'll say this. When it came to broadcasting for me, I had Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball and Super Nintendo. I would keep the stats. I would do the broadcasting too. But then I had a project in 3rd grade where I had to keep a journal of everything and everything like that. And the teacher's like, wow, Justin, you have an incredible imagination. And I was thinking, or I'm just really messed up. Good luck to everybody on your bets tonight, your waivers. He's Adam Rodas. I'm Justin Bensterman. Dr. Roto coming up next for On Call. Let's win the day tomorrow. We'll be back 5 p.m. Eastern here on Bettor Sports Network. See ya.